Hi everyone, Brad here, and welcome to Building the Annual Strategic Plan. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It is about the end of November right now, and this is the time when I like to really do a lot of deep reflection work, identify missing systems, identify the places that I've grown in my life and in my business, what went well, what did not go well. And I like to be quite proactive and actually make my annual strategic plan quite in advance, just in like late November, so that I have like quite a lot of time to really prime myself into what I'm going to accomplish and where we're going as a company for the new year. So you can build your annual strategic plan before you do your actual business plan, your financial business plan, or you can do it after. I tend to do them in unison. So in this year, I actually did my full business plan financially first. I set my goal first, and then I went through the process of doing the annual strategic plan to break down that goal in terms of implementations and basically resources and tools and systems that I want to add for the new year. This being one of them, doing these kinds of educational outlines for the business and for the company. So let's get started with the building the annual strategic plan on how to do it. So this video is for company owners and any key managers who are part of the execution of the strategic plan for the year. So after this training, you should be able to, you should have an aspiring 5-year goal that you and your team can rally around. You should have simple mile markers so that you and the team can work together to track progress. And you should have the ability to clearly define your vision and where the company is headed for the new year, and where you personally are headed for the new year, and where you want to go with your life, and what kind of skills you're trying to develop. And this should all kind of work together in unison. So some of the other things we're going to cover include why build a strategic plan. So why build it at all? Why is it important? How to use your imagination to create vision. So we'll do a little exercise. We'll have you drop into a little meditation, and we're going to actually just take some moments to create vision and let our imagination run wild with where we want to be going in our life and where we want to take the company. And then we're going to go ahead and create the actual one-page strategic plan, and then go further and break down that one-page strategic plan into actionable chunks. And we're going to go through all of that. And finally, you have to actually commit to the plan, commit to the goals that you have broken down in detail, and go and do it. So the strategic plan gets built now in the early end of the year so that we can just really focus on execution as we move into the new year. So you've probably heard of the benefits of the annual strategic plan, but you just haven't gotten around to it this season, because many people are just too busy running around doing day-to-day stuff. But it is really important as well to just take time to reflect and to go inwards and ask some of the more important questions and get some direction for where you want to take the next 12 months. And to me, not having a detailed plan of attack and implementation is like driving across the country without a map. Like, you might get there, but you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes and go in the wrong direction a bunch of the time, when you really could have just actually gone to a gas station, picked up a map at the start of the trip, and, streamlined it right to where you wanted to go. So why make a strategic plan? One is that you have only a finite amount of attention and time and resources, so you really have to be very directed in what you're going to build and what you're going to create. You can't do it all, right? And it can be quite overwhelming when you're building something in life, regardless of whether it's a company or anything else. So you only have finite attention. The best way to stay on track towards your life vision and your business goals is to have a plan. A strategic plan creates a structure of clear metrics to track and results to track your results against, and you can build your business plan around your strategic plan, or vice versa. They kind of go in tandem, because I do my business plan and strategic plan at the same time, around this time of year anyway. And of course, it increases the chance of hitting your life goals. I mean, it's really as simple as that. When you set goals, you are more likely to hit them, to get the things you want, to attain your desires. So here's a fun fact. You are 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down, right? In this case, we're writing them down into our Excel files, into our drive, into our, you can post these all over your house too if you want. But writing down your goals increases the likelihood, mega, for hitting them. So why do this in simplified terms? The answer is this is how you break down larger boulders into small rocks, prioritize your goals, and then plan your fucking dreams out, right? That is what this is really about. Breaking down large, overwhelming goals into small chunks that you can focus on in real time. So, yeah, in my experience, it's pretty easy to get a project done that takes a week. However, it is more challenging to get a project done that takes 1, 5, or even 10 years and actually stay the course. I think when you don't have a much bigger perspective of where you're going and what you're creating, and that comes back to having your vision, a real vision of where you're going, I think it can get very overwhelming to break down these huge implementations that have to take place to really create something good. I know I used to operate by the let's just work hard mantra, and I think a lot of people do operate under that mantra, and it leads to burnout. You just burn out because you don't actually finish work. You don't finish creating. You never finish creating. You never finish building businesses. It's really about the enjoyment of building businesses and, yeah, enjoying the actual process of creating things. And I think when you take your time to break things out, you can really build something beautiful and allow the time you need so that you can make, engage with high quality creation. So how do you strategically plan? In this training, I'm going to show you the step-by-step method for creating the annual strategic plan. The good news is that the strategic plan is simple to build, it's quick to reference, daily or weekly, and it's easy to understand and use. What's good is that it clarifies what is on track, what's off track, and it helps to eliminate distractions and useless projects that might kind of just pop up. And nowadays, with the way social media is and everything, there's tons of things that just pop up. Fundamentally, though, we want to align our team and ourselves with what actually matters for taking us towards our longer-term goals and for the longer-term skill development that we want to engage with. So strategic planning affords you the opportunity to think about the future of the company and plan a path to get there. Nothing great was ever created in a week, and most things take years and years and a lot of time, focus, faith, effort, planning, and lots of adjusting. So focus, faith, and effort is something that I'm going to talk about again in the marketing sections and the marketing trainings. And these are the key drivers that enable success when it comes to building a business. I'm using focus, faith, and effort because it's something that was introduced to me when I bought my first franchise. And this is the first thing they sat us down and really conveyed is that you got to have focus, faith, and effort to go ahead and create. Even with all the systems being given to us, you need to believe it's going to work. You have to focus your effort and work hard for sustained period. So it boils down to the consistency. Focus and faith and effort gives us consistency, which ultimately leads us to compounding. We let the compound effect take care of the growth through just consistent behavior. And this goes for whether you're working out and trying to build muscle, become a great rock climber, become a great skier, build a great business, doesn't matter. It's always the same thing. First thing we got to do is define the company values. So this is step 1 of the annual strategic plan. You have probably already done, with Colorcraft, we've already done this step. If you are building your own business and you're watching this is the first thing you want to do when you start a company. Apart from knowing what industry and sector you want to be in, you need to know what the company is really all about. What are the values that define the company? What is the purpose and mission of the company? The values are really the rocks of integrity that guide the company and the team decision-making in both good and bad times. They're the Polaris star in the business as you go from a beginning entrepreneur to the seasoned veteran in the industry, right? I've been in this industry for 10 years, the home service industry, and I'd say I'm at the place where now I'm a professional in this industry. So, having a good set of company values will guide everything from recruiting all the way through to the production of each and every job. Long term, the values guide you and the organization in the right direction. So if you have not already, this is not a huge comprehensive step that we're going to go into right now. This is something you would spend a significant amount of time, probably a full weekend, with partners if you're starting a company from scratch to really deep dive into what are the values that we want to define us. In our case, I already have this, so I'm just going to, and I like to throw this into my one-page strategic plan to continuously remind me of what is important and how do I want to make decisions. So our core values at 𝐾𝐿Rcraft are the following: deliver what we promise, do what we say we're going to do, having upfront communication with each other, with our stakeholders, with our customers, and with employees. I want to have upfront communication, right? This just takes care of a lot of problems that get lost in transmission. From an operations point of view, clean and organized job sites. That is really important for a lot of our avatar client. Like, they care about their house a lot, and how we present and show up and organize the job site, which is their home, is important. And then looking the part, showing up and really easing the customer's mind by being friendly, uniformed people. A lot of painters just don't show up looking very presentable. And it does affect the faith that the customer will have on a subconscious level or a conscious level. So these are our core values that I believe are the most important. And if we just do these things, it goes a long way for delivering the brand presentation that what I want to convey. Step 2. So allow yourself to dream. You can't really make a strategic plan to get anywhere if you don't know where you're going and who you're becoming. And so you need to really take the time to create a vision for yourself and for your company, and a vision for yourself and company that actually integrates and fits together. That is, for me, it's actually not always been an easy step to align my company with my own personal calling and the things that I want. But I've learned to integrate over the years, and that's something you'll have to do too, is really get clear on your dreams. And not a lot of people spend time really dreaming. What do I really want? Because of all the beliefs that get in the way that limit you from dreaming. It's not necessarily always that well practiced. So you want to be visualizing where you want to be in the business. Whether you're one of the managers in the business or the entrepreneur and owner of the business, everyone needs to dream and share what they want and their desires. So you want to be dreaming where you want to be in 5 years, including the key measures of success that you want to have, detailed in your imagination. To attain your dreams, you must help the team to attain dreams. So if you're a general manager or the production manager, you want to know what's important to all the other people, the painters on the team, right? Me, as the owner of the franchise, I want to know what's important to my key staff, my production manager, my sales manager. And I want to get clear on that, but most importantly for myself, I want to get clear on my own dream and make it as real and as strong as I can and not hold back. And then the overarching why, the purpose of it all, that's step 3. These are kind of the pre-steps to give me a framework for actually making a strategic plan. So why do all of this? Why did I even start this company? Why did I really take this on as a project? Why grow it? What is it really all about? So, it gets into a little bit more deep of questions. And this off season, because we're mostly an exterior house painting company, this is a great time to really ask those questions again when I get out of the chaos of in season, right? In full production season. So at 𝐾𝐿Rcraft, what I have come to really like as a mission for us is helping people in the community to realize their dreams, and I would be part of that community. Whether it's the customers who are painting their dream homes and they're trying to really create the aesthetics and this look and feel for their house, and we're the ones that they've hired to do that and helping them in developing their dream house, as well as our community includes our stakeholders and our employees, right? Everyone in the business. What are our dreams? What are the skills we want and we need for our lifelong journey? Where do we want to go in our careers, right? Not everyone's going to stay with 𝐾𝐿Rcraft. I want it to be a place where people come, they get what they need, they learn what they need to learn, and they might evolve out of this industry and to go into something totally different. I know I have. 𝐾𝐿Rcraft is not the only business that I own. But it has taught me so much about business. Like just being in the home service industry has been the foundation for me for my learning and skill development. So now I have the opportunity to dream bigger outside of it. So I'm going to take you through a visualization exercise right now. So take a moment. You can pause the video for a sec if you want to just get grounded, but I'll give you a moment right now and just take a couple of deep breaths. Get your feet on the ground, fully grounded, and clear your mind. Now just take a minute to imagine yourself a year from now, sitting maybe where you are now. What have you accomplished? What were the goals that you wanted to achieve? What are the things you wanted to have done, wanted to do? In a year from now, you'll be sitting here. How much money have you made? How many new relationships have you acquired? What new skills have you developed? Where do you feel more confident in your life? How have you helped other people? Allow yourself to just really visualize yourself sitting in this chair a year from now, and how far have you come? Don't hold back. Really do this right now. Let your imagination create this for you. Now zoom out 3 years from now. Where are you 3 years from now? What kind of a role are you in 3 years from now? How are you helping other people in this stage? What kind of a leader have you developed into? What kind of income are you earning? What kind of investments have you made? In 3 years from now, what kind of relationships, the depth of the relationships that you've built up over these years to improve your life? And you can really keep going and just go even 5 years, 10 years out. Hopefully a picture is starting to form of where you want to be. Remember, it's important to not really restrain anything at this stage. You're just letting yourself dream. And now bring yourself back to the here and the now. And you can open your eyes. So visualization, you can do this exercise on your own. Take 5 minutes out of your day and just do it. And do this consistently, just allowing yourself to dream. This will give the guidance you need so you can build strong plans for your life and visions for your life. So this is kind of my 5-year dream. They call it the BHAG. So in 5 years from now, with Colorcraft, I want to be doing $3.5 million in revenue at a 15% net profit. So this is not my comprehensive vision, but it is my business broken down in a nutshell vision for the business. I want to work on about 20 hours a week and spend the rest of my time climbing and with my family and my community. So what is the BHAG? It's a funny term that I don't even remember where I heard it, but it stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. And it's really derived from just taking the time to dream. That's what my interpretation of it. So you'll have your own, right? And it doesn't matter if you're the owner of the business or just one of the key managers in the business, or you're about to start your own painting business or your own any business. You want to be dreaming about where you're going and what kind of a journey what are you going to learn on the journey that you're going on? We never know what we're going to encounter, but just bringing in an excitement to it and letting yourself kind of almost be nervous about how big the goals that we're setting, right? So simplified, what is the strategic plan? It's identifying where you want to go with your business and then building a well thought through plan to get there. And then if you're the owner, helping other people in the business to do the same, to dream and to figure out what they want to do in the business and making a plan for everyone. So what is a SMART plan? We're going to talk about this a lot more too when we get into the goal setting sections and the GSNR documents. But a SMART plan this is the acronym. It is specific, measurable, attainable, it's relevant to a higher purpose, and it has a time limit. In this case, the strategic plan is based on a 1-year time limit broken down into quarters. So that's what a SMART plan is. That's what the acronym is. So let's go ahead and start building the plan. First thing we're going to do is define the annual goals. And following the SMART goal methodology, we're going to define some very specific goals. So let's go and start filling out the actual strategic plan right now. So if you are on the Colorcraft team, you will just go into the Google Drive and grab it from the Resource Center, the strategic planning template, which is fully built out and ready to go. And this is what it would look like. So I zoom out a little bit, maybe 75 or even 50%. And it's a 1-page Excel template right here. And I can input all my basic stuff. And then there's breakdowns of all of the annual goals broken down by tasks all the way through for each quarter right here down at the bottom. So first things first, I'm going to put in my why. I'm going to put in my big, hairy, audacious goal and my company values. That was step 1, 2, and 3 for the strategic planning. And I'm actually not going to redo this entire thing because I actually already built my strategic plan. But this is what the blank copy would look like. Once it's filled out, it will look like this or something like this, right? So once I have put all these in, so my purpose when I started in business and still to this day is the grand purpose is ultimately freedom. And then I put in our mission, which is to help communities actualize their dreams, my employees and my customers achieve their dreams. That's my why. That's why Colorcraft exists. Then I've got my big, hairy, audacious goal, which is to do 3.5 million and 15% net profit consistently. And I want to be working in 5 years, about 20 hours a week, and spend the rest of the time climbing and with my community. Then I've got my values listed down here. Step 4 is to put in my annual goals. So I've actually taken these goals directly from my business plan, which I wrote already, and you just put them right in. At the end of the year, these are my fiscal annual goals. I want to do $1 million in corporate revenue and 20% corporate net profits. And I also want to have Jesse, who's our franchisee, do at least $650,000 of revenue. His goal is a lot higher than that, but that's the bare minimum I want to be holding him to help him achieve. Yeah, and then if we go down here, we have our critical numbers that we want to achieve in the business. So I want at the minimum is a gross profit of 45%. I want to make $200,000 in accumulated retained earnings to buy land at the end of the year. And then I want the company sales ratio to be 45%. These are just like some of my hard rocks that I want to achieve for this year. The rest of the plan is basically breaking down all of these annual goals. So that's step 2, is to fill in the annual goals and the annual critical numbers. And step 6 is to list the core implementations for the year. So these are the things that basically upgrades or system installs or things that you need to build. Like, for instance, making this video and making this whole strategic planning template was an initiative that I wanted to complete for the year that I'm still in, right? So it's a systems that I build it once and then it's kind of done. So yeah, there are projects or upgrades that need to be in place to sustain the growth that is being planned. So if you're going on this journey with your company, do you have the right systems in place? Do you have the right people in place? These initiatives should allow the owner to have enough time and money to go through the next year, right? So I'm trying to put, right now in the off season, I'm taking the time to build all this stuff and create systems that will make the next year a lot easier. So people and processes, that's the way we want to be thinking about this. So that's the core implementations. So let's go have a look at that. So you come back here and you can see the implementations that I want. So I'll zoom in here, 75. So I want to, in 2022, I want to complete the full video course with PowerPoints filmed and make this company franchise ready. So like the video I'm making right now, I want systems and video trainings in place for everything about the company. So whether it's all the sales, all the marketing, all the recruitment best practices, all the production best practices, how to do goal setting, how to create your vision, these all I want nice systems that allow people to learn, for basically educational content for our staff and for people who want to build painting companies so that we can get better and learn and grow. So that's one of the initiatives, the implementations for the year. I've just hired on our production manager, who I want to be fully empowered and trained as the production manager for the company to hit this $1 million corporate revenue goal. And then I also want to have a fully trained sales manager installed into the company. And yeah, I guess this is the same thing, so I could actually delete that. So I want a full-time sales manager hired and trained for the team. Those are my implementation items. If I can do these 3 things for the year, that's a win. I don't have to do everything, but if I can hit these sales goals, so I think we did about 600 and something, just under 600 last year. So we'd be basically doubling our revenue in year 2.5, I guess. Year 3, let's call it. Doing $1 million by year 3 in the business, and then hitting all these goals for critical numbers and installing these systems. That would be a successful year for my year 2022. Step 6 is to define the KPIs that we're going to focus on. So we already kind of just covered there, but the KPI stands for the key performance indicators that we're going to focus on. These are the critical numbers or metrics that everyone on the team needs to focus on. It's usually just 1 or 2, maybe 3 numbers that if we achieve it, it means that we've done a good job for setting up our next year for success. It also means that we should definitely be celebrating, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the video. Making sure we're actually celebrating as we go on this journey of business. Monthly, quarterly, yearly, all that. The next step was to break down our annual goals into quarterly goals. So these are the elements of the goals that matter the most in the specific quarter that we're in. These are really important, especially in pronounced seasonal businesses like painting and landscaping, which is what we're doing. Not the landscaping, the painting, which is what we're doing. So, the example would be from January to March. We want to be heavily focused on our marketing and sales goals and pre-booking our season. From April to June, we want to be very production training and job fulfillment focused. So really getting our staff trained and ready to go for the season. July and September, we really want to be focused on productivity and profitability for the company, like really honing in people's skills and making sure the right people are in place. And we've only got pros on the team. October and December is systems and process building and vacation time. So doing videos like I'm doing right now to help out and make things easier for the following years. So that's what we're doing when we define our quarterly goals. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So the quarterly goals will show up right here. So I'm going to break down by quarter 1, so basically January until March, I want to pre-book $300,000. I want to have 6 sub-teams hired for Vancouver territory, and then I want 2 teams of 3 hired for Squamish, right? And the critical numbers to focus on is $300,000, 162 estimates completed. That's what I would need in order to book that much amount. So 162 estimates done in 3 months, right? So you can really do the math and break them down even further. I'm pulling these numbers directly out of my business plan, actually, but you can kind of take $300,000 divided by an average job size of 4,500. That's 66 estimates or booked jobs. And if we divide that by 0.45 as a sales ratio, yeah, we're being conservative here. So 162 estimates is more than enough to pre-book that amount. And then you keep going and you break it down even further for the next quarters. So I actually didn't do my quarterly planning for the third quarter and the fourth quarter yet, really, because I'm going to leave them a little bit flexible. But in quarter 2, I know that I'm going to be focused mostly on hiring and recruitment and interviewing. So I want 15 painters hired for the season. I want to hire and train a full-time sales rep for the company. the critical numbers we want to be booked by June. We want to be booked at 800K. We want to be produced at 445K. We want our gross profit margin to be at 45%. And the implementations, you can see down here at the bottom, during this 3-month period, I'm going to be focused on, in Q1, I'm going to be focused on building the recruitment video module series. So it's like a 5-part series on just recruitment, interviewing, onboarding, and just like that whole process, how to post job ads and all that stuff. And I also want to make sure I have the relationships put in place for subcontractors, so subcontracting agreements and whatnot, with people that I've interviewed and vetted and checked out their work and all that stuff. Q2, I'm going to be really focused on coaching and supporting Dave as he steps into his full-time role of production. And I want to start building and writing the standard operating procedures for production. I also, during that 3-month period, will go into production video training modules, which are based on these standard operating procedures. And yeah, you can kind of, obviously I'm going to have to do this one before I do that. So probably the start of April, I'll start working on this. And by May, I'll probably start filming this stuff. And that'll probably take me 2 months just to do that, this series of videos to help in production, to make it easier for the painting teams to learn and know what they need to do. And then, if you go all the way to the end here, you can see the implementations I want to focus on in about this time of year next year. I want to rebuild the website. I want to launch the video course. I want to recruit 2 franchisees, so we'll be in a position that we'll have all the resources set up so that new franchisees can be successful. And I'm contemplating launching a Christmas light service. I'm not sure yet, but it's something that if I was going to do it, this would be the time to do it. So that is how you break down in a 1-page doc all your quarterly goals. So we already kind of went through it, laying down the quarterly rocks. So these are the broken down pieces of the yearly implementations that you really can't and shouldn't work on all of these things at once. So you saw I wanted to make a video course, but I got to build each video module one at a time and in the right order, right? So, I'll do that throughout the year sequentially until the end of the year. I'll end up with a fairly good version 1 of the video course, which is, even this video is part of the video course training. How do you build your strategic plan, which is one of the first things you do in the business, right? So in order to do that, we need to focus, right? I need to block off time, not get distracted, and just put these implementations into action and build them and take my time to build them properly, basically. So the quarterly critical numbers, from the purest business point of view, this is the number, right? This is like our rock solid numbers of what we're trying to achieve. And then our goal setting and review, we're really going to focus on actually how do we actually do this and get these results. Know thy numbers. I don't think Hamlet actually said that, but it's a saying that I like to say. Just know thy numbers. You got to know your numbers in business. So if we go back, we'll have a look again at our rocks. So again, here they are. So the rocks are in place for our implementations. And, that's a lot of stuff. There's not, it doesn't see, when you look at just the yearly implementations here, it doesn't look like it looks like there's not that much stuff, but to actually do it takes a significant amount of time. And once we actually start to schedule these into our calendar and put a lot of times to everything, it'll make a lot more sense. And then here at the end of the quarter, I can actually record, did I hit these goals, or where am I? Is it a yes? Did I not hit it? If I didn't hit it, do I want to record it and move it forward for the next session? All that kind of stuff. So that's just where we record our results to see how we're doing on everything. These rock breakdowns here, you can actually go into the rock breakdown, which is actually pulling from the 1-page strategic plan. So here, it's grabbing each of the rocks, and then I can actually put a description of the rocks and who I would need to help deal with this stuff. So the recruitment video series based on recruitment and people playbook. So what do I actually have to do? I need to write the PowerPoints. Well, I have to write the standard operating procedure for recruitment. Recruitment. That's the first thing I need to do. That's already done. So I already did that last year at this time. So then I got to write the PowerPoints, video training. Then I got to film them, right? And then I got to edit them. So those are all the things that I got to do. So that's how I would go about that. Is there a better way to do this? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but I'd write the standard. That's what I have to do. That's the description of what has to happen here. It's just me that has to do it. And, you know, when am I going to do it? I'm going to do this from basically week 1 until week basically 5, I think. It's going to take 5 weeks. There we go. So what is it going to take to recruit 6 subcontractors? I'm going to have to post ads. I'm going to have to do setup calls. I'm going to have to interview probably like 15, 20 people, 20 subs, let's say. You know, you can get really detailed with this, what it's going to take. And we actually do. That's what the critical path down here is all about. And then I'm going to have to make hiring decisions. Check out their work. And old jobs. Right? So that, and then the people needed would be, again, I'm going to do this myself. Or maybe Dave will do this, the general manager or a production manager would do this, right? So these are the people who are going to be involved with taking care of this rock. And when are we going to do this? We'll probably do this starting in week 8 until 12. No more rocks. So there's only 2 rocks for this quarter. So then the next step, if you want to get into the granular details, you'd go into the critical path and you would grab these. So critical path, what do we actually have to do to complete these tasks? So if we go to the rock breakdown, I want to do the recruitment video series completed based on the recruitment guide. So I need to build PowerPoints. This is probably going to take me, oh man, I would say like 40 hours or so. And then I would actually schedule this into my calendar. So this would go into my calendar. So if you actually go, I'll actually go to my calendar right now. So where would you find this? There it is. So I've already scheduled it. But you can see starting right here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1, 2, 3. So that looks like 8 days straight. Let's see, any more? So that's 8 days working about 7 hours per day or 6 hours per day. Let's call it 6.5. 6.5 times 8 days. So about 52 hours. For everything. So I'm guessing about 40 hours to build them. Then it's going to be film. I think that's probably going to be like 8 hours of filming. Film PowerPoint, film recruitment, video modules. That's going to be 8 hours. And then edit recruitment videos. That's going to be another probably like 8 hours. So are these scheduled? Yeah, currently they are scheduled. Action items, tasks in priority. And then once I finish a task, I can just say, yes, it's done, or it's in progress, or wherever it's at, and who's responsible for completing it. So I'm doing the whole video course on my own, really, so I'm just going to put these in as me. But if it was someone else on the team who is accountable to this, who is responsible for it, I would put them in. So maybe Dave is responsible for, let's go with interviewing. Setting up interviews. So we're going to say 15 painters. Well, maybe he's responsible for 8, let's say. 8 painters. So setting them up is probably going to take like 8 hours. Dave will be responsible. And so when the time gets there, it would be, I'd have him schedule it into his calendar, and then it would be in progress, right? So he's working on that right now. Right? And then you'd also have setting up the painters, then it'd be completing interviews. This is probably like 25 hours. So you would actually want to set up time slots where you're actually slotting in interview slots. So when you're actually going to complete the interviews, right? Has this been scheduled? Yes or no or whatever. It needs to get scheduled. Maybe Dave's responsible for that too. So that he'd have to put that in. And this is how you break down. And at the end, you're really going to be able to see. Oh, if I guess because I'm putting the hours in. So if you go 40, 8, 8, 8, 25. Then you can go down to the bottom here and see how many hours have been scheduled. There's 89 hours of work to do in order to complete the Q1 rocks. So that needs to get scheduled into the calendar in a way that actually makes sense and it's reasonable. It's a realistic goal, right? Back to SMART goals. And that is what we're going to do, is the rock breakdowns and the critical path for the rock breakdowns during the quarter for each thing that you've put into your annual strategic plan. And that is how you make a well-balanced plan that is actually achievable based on the time slots that you have. And you're just going to go about doing your whole business plan this way, your whole strategic plan in this way. I wouldn't have to do this until I get closer. I like to do quarterly planning still at this point. But I've done the first 2 quarters of what I know I want to get done. So these are kind of just the non-negotiables. By the time we hit March, April, May, by the time we hit end of May, the recruitment video series will be completed and the production video series will be completed, as well as the actual day-to-day operations. These are the actual metrics we're going to hit our financial goals for the business. So this is our like systems goals and our financial goals, right? And people goals. So that is how you do your strategic planning for the year. And yeah. The last thing that I like to do is I like to break things into themes. So decide on a theme for your year. So what is the biggest change you'd like to make in the business this year coming up? So based on doing all that, what is this year really all about? So once you finish that whole process, you can kind of take a look at it and just, what is this all about, really? And I like to have a little short theme to keep me on track. It's like that Polaris star again. This year is about this for me, right? So many themes often come down to these kind of 4 areas. So what is the goal for the business this year? Are we revenue focused? Are we team focused? Are we profit focused? Are we systems focused? We want to get more systems and best practices in place for future growth. And looking at that, you can kind of decide. So if you're not with the Colorcraft team and you're watching this video, then this is kind of where you can get a little bit of a basic direction in terms of the theme that you're really focused on this year. So our theme is installing the right players into the business and consistently building them the systems and tools that they need for their long-term success. And I would actually just take this and put this right into my one-stage strategic plan. So right over here, boom, there it is. That's the theme. Install the right players into the business, consistent improvements and best practices and systems for the benefit of the long-term success of the business. The next step is step 11, where we want to decide how will everyone celebrate. So if we do all this stuff, this big plan that's all orchestrated and detailed out, if we do this goal, how are we actually going to celebrate these accomplishments? I know that personally, I totally undervalue celebrating my goals. I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't make time to actually celebrate achieving these goals, especially high performers. It's a very underexpressed and forgotten aspect of goal achievement for a lot of entrepreneurs. Yeah, especially high performers. The entrepreneurial path is often long and lonely. Building celebration into the plan is extremely valuable as a motivator and a rally point for the team to get behind. The entire team can get aligned around the goal and the plan and ensure fun is being had along the way. Isn't this really what matters? So I think it is really what matters, is to do really great things and build your confidence and then celebrate what you've done and have fun, right? That's really the main thing, I'd say. So now it is time for you to do this entire process and actually schedule your plan. So you want to do that whole thing, build out the quarterly goals, the critical numbers, the implementations, and then actually build it all the way down to the rocks, to the critical path, and then based on how long each task is going to take, literally schedule it into your plan, into your calendar. So at this point, you need to be working with a calendar if you want to actually execute these plans, and make sure it's actually realistic and you're not going to fall behind schedule. So, if I go and I'll show you my plan right now, we can go through my calendar and I'll show you a little bit of it. So here in January, you can see that I have time scheduled for recruiting. And this is like systems development and video development. I've scheduled time for training the cold calling team. So cold call training or door-to-door training. Right, so I'll be starting to do that this time of year. This is going to be an Own the Neighborhood, so like a training session for cold callers. I'll be starting to do training for estimates. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm making time for my climbing, big, long climbing training sessions, and still building the recruitment stuff. So my mornings, basically every morning till afternoon, I'm working on building recruitment systems. Meanwhile, I have my marketing teams that are getting trained and they're out building, doing all that stuff. So it becomes this balance of building and implementing new systems and development for the company, but you're not falling behind on your actual day-to-day operations until you eventually are at a place where you can get out of that entirely. But, the more systems you build, the closer you get to not being stuck in day-to-day because you're creating more systems for everyone. So we keep going. But you can see I've scheduled things properly. Here we start into production training. So now I'm starting to work on the production training guides. Right? And based on my actual strategic plan, I've scheduled it based on how many hours it's really going to take to complete these. And of course, I'm guessing, but I've gotten a little bit more accurate through building training videos in how long they actually take. And they do actually take quite a lot longer than I originally thought they would to build them. But you need to schedule it. You need to use a calendar to actually do this thing and make it realistic for your implementations, right? It makes a difference. If I don't finish the recruitment training systems in time for recruitment systems, that's going to impact my season, right? It's going to impact my ability to help train my new recruitment officers or anyone who's involved in the recruiting process. Right? They have less resources available to them. So it is really important to me that I finish the training videos for that to make that process easier. So I don't want to screw up on my estimations overly, right? No more than I want to screw up an estimation on a paint job. I want it to be the right price. Otherwise, I'm not going to make any money. So you want to schedule it all, right? Schedule your strategic plan in for the whole quarter if you can. That's what I would do. Literally, I would schedule my entire quarter up front. That is 12 weeks. So you can kind of see here, I have scheduled 12 weeks. And it sounds a little bit crazy, but there is, I do have slack time and there is flexibility. I can move things if I need to, but I need to make sure I'm scheduling the time. I can't emphasize this enough. Otherwise, it's just not going to get built. I'll get too busy with day-to-day and all sorts of putting out fires and other stuff, right? Because I don't know my priorities. So the last thing is to check out with a couple of questions to contemplate here. So what is a win, insight, or learning you've had from watching this video? What is something you're really taking away? So take a minute to really think about that. What is an action you can take today or tomorrow, preferably today, given the training module that we just went through on strategic planning? What are you going to do? What action can you take right now? Maybe it's starting your strategic plan right now, or sending an email to get access to the strategic plan document. And last thing I like to do is just contemplate, what are the skills that I might need to develop further in order to execute this plan? Maybe this plan's quite ambitious and I'm going to really have to up-level my skills. And I actually like to write that down on my strategic plan. So you can see here, I actually have a little section here where I can put in my skill development, things that I think that I need to develop new skills for or get better at in order to do this entire strategic plan. And you can see here where I wrote in my celebration spot. I want to rent some cabins on the island, have a big fire, bring music, do some DJ stuff. So this is it. That's the strategic plan. It just embodies everything that needs to happen in one concise page. What's the theme for the year? How am I going to celebrate all my wins once I do all this stuff? What are the skills I'm going to need for my journey? And what are the skills other people are going to need for the journey? And here's our values and my overall mission and vision. And I like strategic planning. I think it's such an important and fun thing to do. And it just brings so much direction to me when I do it. So I hope you enjoyed the strategic planning template and training video here. Have fun with the process. I would set aside like 2 or 3 hours to just go through this. If you don't already have your vision and your why and your values, that's probably another whole day thing that you can do, but just throw something in, right? It gets you started, even if it's just off the top of your head, putting stuff in. If you're with Colorcraft, you're watching this, this is where we're at. Our mission is to grow and to grow as leaders and help each other achieve our dreams, straight up. These are our values. This is how we deliver and get to our 5-year vision. Our values are like our vehicle to get there. So hone into this stuff, get on board with the plan, and let's go.